But I think the thing that's most threatened today is our economic exceptionalism. Americans are the most prosperous people that have ever walked the earth. And the source of our, really the core of our prosperity is not our rich people. Because every country in the world has rich people. Every country in the world has rich people. The source of our prosperity is not how big our businesses are, because every economy in the world has big businesses and big corporations. The source of our exceptionalism and of our prosperity is our entrepreneurship. The entrepreneurial class you don't find anywhere else. What that means in real life terms is this. We are still the only place on earth where over and over again people can start businesses out of the spare bedroom of their homes. Now granted, it's in violation of the zoning code. We are still the only place where you can do that. We're still the only place where you can start a business out of the spare bedroom of your home. This is not a theory. First of all, many of you did that. But I have met people. Just last week, I used this as an example, but I could use 100 examples of this. I met a young man, he's 37 years old, even younger than me, who runs a very successful company in Sarasota. And I asked him what I ask everybody that I meet who's successfully economically. I asked him, how did you get your start in business? And let me tell you the answer I almost never get. They almost never turn to me and say, well, I got my start in business because I inherited this from my great-grandfather, who left it to my grandfather, who left it to my father, who left it to me. I very rarely meet people who are, family fortune heirs. What I almost always meet is someone who says, I started it out of the, spare table at a diner. I drew a business plan on the back of a napkin and took my life savings and opened this business. This young man's story was, he started it out of the garage of his parents' home with a $1,000 loan from his mom. Both of his parents, by the way, were government workers. His dad worked for a government-owned utility. His mom was a school teacher. They lent him $1,000 to go out and find an accountant to help put the paperwork together to open this corporation. And he bought QuickBooks for his computer, and he was off and running. Today he employs 150 people. That means there are 150 people in America who will feed their family this week because 11 years ago, with a $1,000 loan out of the garage of his parents' home, this young man gave life to an economic dream. That's what makes us exceptional, is that his story is neither rare, nor unique, nor uncommon. It happens every single day, and it has for over 230 some odd years in this extraordinary country. So what's the role of government in all this? It's a pretty simple role. The role of government is to make stories like him more common and easier, not harder. And it's why we're so upset. Because over the last 18 months, virtually every policy out of Washington, D.C. has made it harder, not easier, for stories like that to come to life. I have a pretty simple theory, and that is the more permits you have to put up on your wall to open a business, the harder it is to open that business.
That's right.
The more uncertainty there is about what the rules are, the harder it is to open that business. That's what people don't get sometimes. Big government doesn't really hurt the big corporations. You can pile regulations upon regulations and taxes upon taxes. They may not like it, but they will figure it out. Because these big, powerful companies, they've got in-house lobbyists, they've got in-house counsel, they've got lawyers, they've got accountants, you name it, they've got it all. They can deal with whatever you throw at them. They may not like it, but they will deal with it. But a guy trying to open up a business out of his parents' garage cannot. Nor can most small businesses. And so, the role of government is to make it easier for someone to start a business or expand an existing business. Because that's what grows jobs. And I submit to you that Washington, for a long time, with both parties to blame, by the way, have been making it harder, not easier, for this kind of entrepreneurship to flourish. But we have never seen anything like the last 18 months.